What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 90. This is part two of our week 19 review. Coming with me this afternoon, Benjamin, there seems to be something very large missing out of your shot right now, sir. Over your right shoulder, there seems to be a very large trophy missing. What's going on?
My gosh, how about that? Yeah, had to get it taken care of. 2022, that plate hadn't been done yet. So wanted to get that done at least. And we have an issue. It's not a humongous issue, but it is a bit of one. This is just an example of one of the old blocks, but um, much like this one, there's going to be the final plate done here. And we're going to have to decide how we want to. Do we want to put another one? We can stack two on top, or there are different types of blocks, different designs. And I actually took some pictures. So if anyone is curious, reach out to me and I'll send them over and we could just talk it out and kind of have a group decision on what would be best, what would look the best aesthetically. Is it more appropriate to keep this and just keep going? It's really up to you guys. I'm pretty democratic about it as far as whatever you guys feel would look best and what we would appreciate the most. So that's as far as that goes. But getting back to actual fantasy, Joe, it
Yes,
was
sir.
another really, really interesting set of matchups that we have to discuss. Obviously, plenty of playoff implications and potential semifinal implications of getting that bye. Does not necessarily, as of right now, seem like we're going to have this crazy race that we thought that we were going to have, but we still will have a significant one fighting for maybe the last spot and a bye, maybe both buys, but not as crazy as it was 2 weeks ago, but still amazing. A fantastic story to tell. So, as always, Joe, please lead us off and set the table, mon frere.
Let's get going, boys. We are this close. There's two to go after the one we're currently in. It's this. It's here. We're here. The playoffs are here. The picture is coming into focus. I think we've got five teams that are going to be spoken for at least before week 22 kicks off. And then the question will be what happens in 22, who tells the story, who makes things happen, and what are we going to be talking about for years to come. As far as the trophy is concerned, guys, do by all means get in touch with Benji and get your input in there because we need to know what our members want to see out of a trophy and what they want to have be the prize at the end of the rainbow here. With all of that being said, Benjamin, let's dive into our first matchup here this week. And we are, in fact, going to be talking about your matchup with Josh Haber. How are you feeling after this 11-8 loss, my friend?
Oh, Joe, I will say that on a positive note, there are very few managers that after the week is over, if I lost that matchup, I could be happy for that person. Okay, that's not fair to say. I'm happy for anyone, but I'm almost like good if I lost to this particular manager because I want so much for him to finish this thing and win the whole damn thing, and that's Josh Haber. So that's on a positive note. I was happy to see him get out of this thing, knowing that his schedule is pretty light around the rest of the way. So he's in good position here to punch his ticket to one of these in one of these playoff spots. But at the same time, the way he had to win it, Joe, I would say that I lost more than I got beaten. I think Josh's opponent beat himself more than Josh got the better of him. And I think the numbers that we're about to discuss will prove it.
Yeah, it was a wild Sunday. It was a wild week for you specifically, but let's dive into Sunday first. We're going to talk about triples that were tied, and it looks like Benji got that one. RBIs were tied, and Josh got that one. Ben, you had a two stolen base lead, and Josh tied that up. Josh had the error lead, and it looks like he held on to that one.
No, no,
Uh,
I took that one, Joe. I took that
that's
one. You're
right.
right.
That's right. He got two on a Sunday. It looks like that's insane. Looks like everything else sort of stayed where it needed to. Josh had a 2-tick advantage on the on base percentage and 9 ticks on the batting average were on your side. Those things stayed despite being incredibly close. Looks like innings was yours. Saves stayed tied. Relief appearances, it looks like he got you there. So it's just those 4 categories that swapped. So for close categories this week, Benji, you win by the triple. You win by 5 strikeouts, 3 ticks on the batting average. Josh wins by the double, the RBI, the walk, 1 tick on the on base percentage, a win. Actually, it's 2 and a loss. You guys tied in stolen bases and saves. For Josh on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is 8 for 19.
Not ideal for Josh. 468.
It's a 421 with 6 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The only thing playing here is that triple, which
Yeah.
came on Saturday. Ellie De La Cruz had a triple, and Chas McCormick was over for the utility spot. So that's the only
And
play there.
yeah, and I mean, there's one thing else that also plays because it's on both of us really, and that's that if he makes that switch, probably wins batting average. I mean, with batting averages are that close, really only one hit versus a guy that had an 0 for day. That's the difference.
Yeah, and De La Cruz went 2 for 4 with a run, a double, a triple, an RBI, and 2 strikeouts in that
Yeah.
appearance.
Mhm.
That
I almost
definitely
wish,
changes
yeah,
everything.
I actually almost wish he did that just so I didn't lose as many stats by one that I did. But we'll get into it.
Okay. His transactions this week, he dropped Tyler Rogers for Michael Kelly, who was a waste. He went on the IL. He dropped Angel Perdomo for Stone Garrett, 2 for 4 with a run, a double, and 3 RBIs. But this dude is now done for the season after breaking his leg after jumping on the wall or something. I didn't see the play, but he was red hot, and now he's stone cold. He dropped Michael Kelly for John King, an inning, a homer, a 9, and a 1 in a relief appearance. He dropped John King and Stone Garrett, added Alex Young, Lucas Sims, and then dropped Francisco Alvarez for Elias Diaz. 3 for 5, a run, a homer, an RBI, a steal, and a strikeout, all from that catcher. He dropped Lucas Sims for Kyle Nelson, a clean inning. He dropped Geraldo Perdomo for Aaron Loop and dropped Dakota Hudson for Shintaro Fujinami, who gave up a home run, a 9, a 1 in his relief appearance. His key players this week, we're going to start with Yordan Alvarez. He is the MVP this week. It's a 333 with a 462 on base, 4 runs, a double, a triple, 2 RBIs, 5 walks, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter, although he was very good on Saturday while on the bench, Ellie De La Cruz, 083 with a 154, a steal, a walk, 4 strikeouts, and 2 errors. The 2 errors, obviously, the reason he loses that category. The Cy Young this week is Bobby Miller. 6 innings, a win, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a 150, and an 033. And the Cy Young is Justin Joey Lawrence. 3 relief appearances, 2 1/3, a loss, a save, a bomb, 3 strikeouts, a 23.14 ERA, and a 2.57 on the whip. Benjamin, it's now time for your bench stats. And I know you've been dreading this all week. So here it is 26 for 82.
All right. Well, that doesn't sound that bad, but I know that those counting stats are gonna be what matters. But let's see, 26 for 82. 318.
It was 317. You almost nailed that one.
All right. Hold on. 9 home runs.
Yes.
I'll go with 19,000 RBIs, and you could do the rest.
Okay. So it's 15 runs. Doesn't matter. 4 doubles. That definitely plays. A triple, 9 homers, like you said, 21 RBIs, 5 walks, 20 strikeouts, and 2 errors. So well done getting the strikeouts and errors out of the lineup. You did win both of those categories. Walks matter, RBIs matter, doubles matter.
doubles,
Yep.
and on base
And on
percentage.
base percentage, obviously, if you get anything in there. Are
Right.
there
Like,
any benchings? Because I have all of them.
oh yeah. I mean, we can go all day with this because there are
Exactly.
so many. I mean, the not playing McNeil Friday and Saturday, like not being able to find a spot for him is obviously the one that if that happens, I win the week by a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I mean, it was every single day, Joe. Like it actually felt like there was not one day where it didn't happen. I know it started on Monday, where yeah, I decided to pick up Charlie Blackmon because he was out there and he was leading off and he had a good game. But by doing that, I end up pushing Josh Bell out of my lineup 2 for 4 with a home run.
Yep.
So right there, if that switched for Nathaniel Lowe, which it would isn't going to be, it would have been just all everybody was going to play that day, and Grichuk would have probably been the guy on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Then, it's still not going to get me batting average because Charlie Blackmon was 2 for 3. So already I was like, okay, that's one that really doesn't bother me. Of course, the RBI does, but you kind of flip them there, right? Then you go to Tuesday, and I'm not playing Carlos Santana for whatever reason. I haven't been doing that a lot this year. He burns me on the bench with a home run. Nathaniel Lowe, of course, because I flip flopped him day after day. This is the day that he gets the double on Tuesday
Mm-hmm.
because Monday he did Bupkis. Jeff McNeil, 0 for 4 on the bench. Nicely done. Riley Green, 0 for 4 on the bench. Nicely done. Randall Grichuk, there's your 2-run bomb. There's your 2 hits. If even Grichuk played on Tuesday instead of
I've got it as Tovar in the utility spot
Tovar.
over 5.
Right. If I was like, stop getting too cute with Tovar, it worked on Monday. I picked him up on Sunday for Monday, and he goes 3 for 4 with a bomb and a double. So forgive me for wanting to like scratch that itch a little bit more on
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, but I guess that's where I was a fool because it would have been like normally, okay, he had his hot day, get the hell off of my team, and then play one of these other guys, whether it was going to be a Santana or Grichuk or a McNeil. It might have been McNeil. It might have been Green. My guess is I would have went with Lowe again and gotten the double, but I guess we'll never find out. On
Right.
Wednesday, Charlie Blackmon isn't starting that day, so I sit him. But I do give Tovar that other chance. I say on your third day, you should be able to do something. There's another 3 for 4 with 2 runs, and it looks smart now. But a home run on the bench from Chris Taylor, who I was considering playing, plus a walk. That would have helped at least tying walks and RBIs.
Mm-hmm.
And then a home run from Riley Green, including a triple on a day that Maeda was pitching against him. He decided in the afternoon to drop his trunks and show everyone what he's got. A 3 for 4, 2 runs, a homer, 4 RBIs takes that category as well. Um,
And I had
uh,
that one as like you probably wanted to get Abrams out of the lineup with his 0 for 4 with a steal at the utility spot.
right, but am I really doing that when I need steals? Like, I ended
Probably
up
not.
tying that I ended up tying that category. I mean, now we go to Thursday because the reason why all this is being done, Joe, is because I'm already like planning on Thursday. And if we go to Thursday here, I have full lineup. What was
Yeah,
expected to be a full lineup. And I had been planning the whole week for that, a lineup that I was like, this is going to work on this day. Not only did it bat 111 with a 172 average, the fact that um now Chris Taylor wasn't going to be playing because it was against a lefty. No, it was going against a righty. So then I was
mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, let me grab Dave Peralta because him squeezed in, mushed in and sandwiched with Will Smith, with Muncy here and Betts here and Freeman there seems like a pretty good situation. He goes 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Bye bye on base percentage. Juan Soto the 0 for 4. I'm lucky that I didn't get too cute and I still played CJ Abrams, even though he wasn't starting 2 stolen bases off the bench. So, and
That'll
then
do.
Right. And then the Riley Green postponed game, I only played with 7.5 players that when I was wholeheartedly playing for a full lineup of 9 on Thursday and planning the whole week accordingly. So it's already frustrating enough, Joe, but then came Friday. Then came Friday. And I didn't, when Friday, after Friday was over, I just thought to myself, I was like, this week has already been like this insane. Like, it, it can't get that much kookier after Friday night. How about to the tune of 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, and 1 walk? If I play Carlos Santana, I win RBIs. I probably win batting average as long as it's flipped with Josh Bell because I had to play guys with on with sorry that was Saturday, but had to play Riley Green center fielder in a double header, so I got to do it. 1 for 8 with a run and a walk. Charlie Blackman,
Ugh.
he stayed good. 1 for 3 with an RBI. Brandon Nimmo, that was the right play because he's been hot. But it was Jeff McNeil, man. Jeff McNeil had to be played. A multi-hit game, 2 for 5, a home run, 4 RBIs, and then Nathaniel Lowe because I benched him, a 2-run homer because I benched Carlos Santana, a 3-run shot, and the walk, doing what he's normally done, but he had not been walking a lot lately. And I was just like, he hasn't been doing that so much. I still have guys like Juan Soto and Nimmo to get me walks the rest of this weekend. Like, let me sit Carlos on Saturday. That would have been my next play, or Low. But McNeil was going to be on the bench no matter what. Saturday comes, and I'm already laughing. I'm texting James Santangelo and saying, "Dude, don't be stupid. Put money on my bench. Put money on." I sent a screenshot of the picture. I sent him. I said, "I've never been this cold in my life. Do me a favor and put money on my bench." And I didn't do it myself because I didn't have money in the account. And then you're going through the whole thing of putting money in the account, and that's how everything starts. But I told him, I say, put a multi-hit game on all 4 men on the bench and put a home run on everyone on the bench. There's your Santana home run and a multi-hit game from him, including the walk. That would have won me average, won me RBIs, tied walks, tied doubles just with that play. If I just said, you know what, I'm not going to let Santana continue to screw me. Fine, I'll play him on Saturday, but I didn't, Joe. I didn't. And then 3 for 5, McNeil, a double, a run, an RBI, and yes, a stolen base from him that would have taken that category ultimately. And Nathaniel Lowe, a 1 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. If James made the decision to make this bet, he would have won money because I
Oh, no
was
doubt.
that, and I mean, there's really not much to say. Like the pitching did disappoint me, like they didn't come through, but that really isn't the story to me, Joe. Like it to me, it was how many opportunities, how many different plays there could have been to win a category. And yes, like on Sunday, I feel a little better because I picked up Yasmani Grandal and he did go 1 for 3. He got a walk. I still lose it by 1, but the 1 for 3, I don't win batting average without that 1 for 3, without that play. So like I'm trying to take the good out of it, man. But when you leave 9 home runs and how many did you say with the RBIs?
21. You had
When you lose by
25 RBIs in the lineup and 21 on the bench.
yeah, but I only needed 1 to tie it,
Mhm.
out of 21. So I don't know if anyone's really experienced what I just did last week. Like, because we haven't been documenting it like for that long, like since 2019. I'm sure there have been times where it's come close to this. Ari's had some humongous benches through his
Mhm.
history, but this just, as far as how glaring it is on how many different things could have happened because I lost by so many stats by one double, 1 walk, 1 RBI, 1 on the
Right.
on base percentage losses. It's obviously like you could look through the pitch and be like, oh, that guy, you didn't have to start him. Like Mikolas got ripped apart by the Mets on Saturday. If I go and don't use him, then I'm looking, I'm going down the barrel trying to get to the minimum on
Right.
Sunday with who's
Right.
ever left out there, and that's my own fault. You know what I mean? Like that was the pitching woes. I was fortunate to be striking out more than a guy an inning. Um, throughout the week. So I kind of knew that I had strikeouts in hand and I could get innings. And I liked the fact that I saw what Josh was doing on Sunday, picking up relievers, and I said, okay, he's not going to go for the because I picked up a starter late and like Saturday night, like 3 a.m. kind of probable
Mhm.
starter, and we'll get into it in a moment, just to see if he was going to start a guy as well. But once he didn't, then I knew that I could delegate my final ad on a hitter, that I didn't have to go after another starter because I was conceding relief appearances. Like he had me, like he kept on one stepping me on relief appearances. But and as far as innings, I needed to hold or I needed to, find my way to, if Yasmani Grandal has like an awesome game, like gets a double, gets a like besides maybe an extra walk, maybe he steals a bit. You know what I'm just saying? Like that one ad like could have been a big difference. It ends up just being like, yeah, it held batting average, and it didn't hurt you substantially enough because if it's an 0 for 4, you lose batting average also. So yeah, Joe, it's frustrating. I'm trying to like look at the positives from it, and we'll conclude it in a moment. But I know you wanted to do my ads and drops because we just got on the tangent. I just got on the tangent. But
It's all right, man. It is all right. When it comes to those ads, I have documented 11 of them. Did you use all 12 this week, or was it just the 11?
yes, no, I used
Okay.
12.
Okay. You dropped Julian Merriweather for Charlie Blackmon, 2 for 3 with a run and a walk. Dropped Trevor Gott for Lance Lynn. Dropped Taylor Rogers for Tyler Holton, 2 1/3, a win, 5 strikeouts, and a relief appearance. Dropped Ezekiel Tovar for Jose Cisnero, and then dropped that guy for Alex Vesia, an inning, 2 strikeouts, and a relief appearance. Was that because of the rainout?
Um, why I picked him up?
Why you picked him up and then dropped him same day?
Oh, I did that because I wanted to go in a different direction. I ended up picking somebody else up for him.
Yeah,
It
you
was
took
like a wasted
Vesia, who ended
ad.
up being fine. Yeah, it was just a wasted ad. And in a week
Yeah,
like this, it is it's worse than a week like what you're currently in,
right.
where a
Oh,
wasted
for
ad is
sure.
sort of
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I could do that willy nilly this week. You're right, but at the end of the day, like I didn't need that ad for another situation on Sunday. Like I didn't need more innings. Like
right,
I
right.
filled I
And you're not
filled the lineup
chasing
on
relief
Sunday.
appearances or anything.
Right, and I filled up the lineup on Sunday. So like, yes, it is a wasted ad. I'm lucky that it could have been worse for sure.
Right. You mentioned the Chris Taylor for David Peralta, who went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. You dropped David Peralta for that aforementioned Jose Cisneros. So you go back to the well from this guy, who gives
Yeah,
you an inning, a loss, a walk, a 27-4 in a relief appearance.
there's always.
Then dropped that guy for Miguel Castro, added Will Vest, who was bad. Dropped Scott McGuff for Chris Flexen, 6 innings, a homer, 5 strikeouts, a 150 and a 117. And finally dropped Vesia for Yasmani Grandal. What was the final move of the week then, if I'm missing one?
Grandal,
Okay.
Grandal. There must be something in the middle that was
Or I
missed.
must have I must have added wrong. Whatever.
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah. All right, your key players this week, sir, your MVP. I'm going to give to Charlie Blackmon because that addition to this team was really nice this week. 421 with a 542 on base, 8 runs, 2 triples, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 4 walks, and a strikeout. Shame on all of us for allowing that guy to just sit there and wait to get healthy. And then Ben just going, yep, he's back on my team now. The least valuable hitter is, in fact, Josh Bell, because when he was in the lineup, he was bad for you, and when he was not in the lineup, he was good. 133 with a 188, 2 runs, a homer, an RBI, a walk, 3 strikeouts, and an error. The MVP, the Cy Young rather, is Merrill Kelly, 11 1/3, a win, 4 bombs, 5 walks, 14 strikeouts, 397 and a 132. You won innings and strikeouts, sir, so I took the guy with the most of each. And we're honest, it's not the worst line in the world. I mean, 4 homers is ugly, but a 397 across 11 is all right.
Yeah, and 14 strikeouts in that 11th third. Like at least he's going more than a strikeout in an inning at that point.
Right, right. The Cy Young I'm giving to Nick Martinez with his 12 ERA across 2 relief appearances, but you could also say Carlos Hernandez or any one of a grip of relievers that you brought in were bad. So that is what it is. Benji, are you nervous about your playoff chances, or are you okay with what happened here?
Oh, as far as the playoffs go, I can't believe I'm saying this, and I'm saying this for a few weeks in a row, but I'm actually pretty confident that I at least have that based on scheduling. There's certain guys that are playing against each other now and next week and the final week, where as long as I don't get crushed 3 weeks in a row, it's almost impossible for me to be not be one of those spots. So I think that that feels good, but the buy is what I am concerned about because we all know, it's one of the most important spots to be in. There's only 3 or so years that you and I discussed that a team that had the buy, at least one of them, is in the finals. There were 3 years where there was an exception. It was 2018, 2010, and 2009. I think those were the three. But
We're also not counting 2020 in this.
well, no, it doesn't work because no one had a buy.
Right.
So it doesn't,
That's a good
fit
point.
that.
Right. For
But
anyone
yeah,
thinking that the top two seeds are the only thing we're talking about here, we're not. It's anybody who got a buy.
right, correct. So, which is the first and second place. So
Right.
besides those couple of years, one of them is in the final each year, and several times, more than several times, that guy ends up winning it. So
Mhm.
it's so crucial, and I want it so badly this year because this is a very elite group of managers, and to know that you're in the final four is special. Even if I can't take it even further than that, that would be something, and that's something that's really important to me, man. So I'm crossing my fingers, and I'm hoping luck just falls my way. I'm gonna have to make my own luck. I'm not gonna necessarily gonna have. I can't playing managing this poorly against a manager like this. Like you're gonna lose 90% of the time. And it's funny how old
Mhm.
even if I made that one flip, Joe, like let's say I played McNeil and I end up that makes me win this matchup. I end up winning something like 10-8, right? Would we
Mhm.
come back and look and say like, great managing, Ben, the way you pulled off that win? It's such a weird
Not if
perspective.
it
Like
was
we
only
might,
one flip. Not if it was
right, but
only
we
one flip, given the totality of the week.
no, but we don't even call it a flip at that point because like we just know it as the week went on. These were the right moves I made, and that's
Mhm.
why I won. But if you really look at it under a microscope, like you can't say that. Like there was so many more mistakes than good decisions. That's how I
Mhm.
felt. Like you said, going back to Cisnero, and then boom, there's your loss. Instead
Yeah.
of just going a different direction or saying like for relief appearances, I'm not going to win that stat probably anyway.
Mhm.
There was a lot of different ways to go about it. I mean, I give myself credit with the Lance Lynn decision, right? Like I went and got that guy this week. He threw seven scoreless, and Josh's guy gets the win in that game, like his Dodger
Right.
reliever. So that's just unfortunate luck where I can say, like, I made the right play. I made a smart play, but that's where, like, that's baseball. That's where
That's
that
baseball
got
season.
me. Yeah.
Yep.
So things like that doesn't get on me so badly. It's the bad decisions made day to day in the lineup, the offense. Like that's where I know that if I make those decisions correct, 6 days out of seven, I'm going to win the week. And when
Mhm.
you see that many stats that are on the bench combined with what I actually did have on the field, that means this team's got pop. That means this team can rake. Like that means
Mhm.
that there is a right combination to play every day to beat anyone. I feel that way. That doesn't necessarily mean it's true because, they can just suck that day or my opponent could just be that much hotter. But I got to think that well over 60% of the time, if I'm playing the right nine guys, at least 6 days out of seven, I can't be beat. So I can only beat myself now, and that first round matchup or whoever that final four, it's going to be one that I'd have to earn. There's no way that I can make mistakes like that and hiccup and win.
Yeah, there's 11 teams still in this hunt. Some of them are a lot further out than others at this point, but still 11 teams are in this hunt right now. And whoever makes it in will have earned it to get there. And they're certainly not just going to rest on their laurels and say, all right, I made it in this crazy year. I'm done now. Not a chance. And that's the type of trap matchup that somebody like you or whoever does get that bye, maybe they do sit there for a week and not worry about it. Because if you do that, I promise you, you're going to have trouble in that semifinal matchup. You need to be on top of yourself. As far as Josh Haber goes, he's been sliding recently. This win is important for him. But do you see the slide continuing here in the final 2 weeks as we start to see everybody getting desperate for the playoff spots?
No, in fact, I'm pretty confident in Josh now. I think this was the one must win, he needed right now to be like a little bit closer to someone that he's chasing. The rest of the way, he's facing guys that are underneath him. And the last two are against Bryan, Lebo, and Ari, who are not going to quit. They're going to continue to play hard, but their teams have been so disappointing this year. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that he could even lose to James McCloskey and still take care of business against Bryan and Ari and be okay. Could he fall out of this? Is there a collapse potential? Yes, there always. But I just my when I look at these teams and I look at the rosters and I look at the schedules, Josh is one of those guys I think is you can punch his ticket. I feel silly because of course we know what happens when we predict in this league, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel pretty confident if I was him. I'd be nervous, but I'd be confident if that makes sense.
No, I tend to agree. Cautiously optimistic is the best way to put that, in the final 2 weeks here. All right, Benjamin, let us move on to the next matchup here. We're going to move on to a matchup that, if we're honest, this manager's still in this fight, and he had goals of being 10th or better this year after sitting pretty low in the standings mid-season. But this was the opportunity to really stamp himself back in this race, and I don't know realistically if this is the type of win he really wanted.
Yeah, that's fair. And now he did have to um, relinquish himself from internet towards the end of the week. And
Mhm.
because of that, he put myself in charge and I dropped the ball. And it wouldn't have made a humongous difference. He would have had an extra stat. And fortunately, I don't think this is one of these teams. Well, not fortunately, but I don't think this is going to be one of these teams that are going to uh, get to that point in week 22 where they have a chance. I could
Mhm.
be wrong, but I will admit right now that I dropped the ball and I didn't check his team and fix it on Sunday. So everyone should know that. And they've put their faith in me
This
in the
this should be a
past.
12-7 then, or are you talking a
Yes.
12-6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, no, 12-7.
It does make it a
I'll
little
get
bit different, at least from a morale standpoint, because when you are playing somebody this low in the standings and somebody who's getting beat on week after week after week, and then you put up an 11-7, yeah, it's a +4, but when dudes are putting up +8s, +10s, and +12s on this guy, and you need the stats in order to get yourself closer to the promised land, this is just not it. I kind of tend to feel like this was the last shot, the Hail Mary this week, was it? For Adam Lowenstein?
yeah,
This was
that
the
it needed
opportunity.
it probably needed to be at least a +6 or a +7. So that's why I'm like, okay, if I did what I'm and at the end of the matchup maybe is where oh no, we're going to talk about Sunday, and I think
Yeah.
that's where we'll get to it.
Yeah. So on Sunday, Adam did, in fact, take the triples category. Let's see, wins were tied, and Matt Loosee took that. Adam had a, I'm sorry, Matt had a 3 strikeout advantage, and Adam took that. And Matt had an errors advantage, and he did end up erroring to tie that category. The close categories this week: Matt wins by 4 runs, a home run, an inning and a third, and the win. Adam wins by the double, the triple, and 2 strikeouts by a batter. They tied in stolen bases, errors, and losses. Now, where, Benjamin, does the extra stat come in?
Okay. So if you look at Adams' team on Sunday, he had the opportunity to have someone playing utility. If it's say a Suzuki, which would have been who I put in, that ties home runs. So now all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
7-11 is now 6-11, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then if you scroll down here, Max Scherzer could have been played. Max Scherzer got the loss. So that goes right back
Sure does.
8-11, 7-11. It goes right back. So that's 7-11. However,
Yeah.
the innings would then flip. So instead of a loss and a tie, it would have been a win loss and a tie.
So we would be talking about a 12-6 here if he
Mm-hmm.
flips the innings.
Oh, he flips the innings,
And then losses or whatever, and
that
home runs
ties
end up
out, and
tying.
home runs end up tying. Well, he takes that back 11-7 again.
It's a
Yeah, I guess it
win,
would
a
have been
loss,
12,
and a tie. Yeah. Yeah, we're talking
12-6.
12-6.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, for Adam on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes a nice, cool 12 for 42.
Give me it one more time. I want to nail it.
It is 12 for 42.
It goes into it evenly. What's going on? Uh,
Yeah. There's a 3,
two. Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah. Hold
least.
on. And there's a 6.
Mm-hmm.
2 out of 7.
There it is. That's the least common
Uh,
denominator.
is it 287?
It's 286. I'll give it to you. 10 runs, 2 doubles, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts. The 4 home runs obviously play, and there's quite a few of them. Obviously, the Seiya Suzuki on Sunday we talked about. Kerry Carpenter was on the bench on Wednesday with Seiya Suzuki in right field 0 for 3 with Tyro Estrada and Seiya Suzuki each homered on Tuesday with Gleyber Torres and Kerry Carpenter in the lineup. So he's doing a Kerry Carpenter, Seiya Suzuki swap there, much like Tommy Pham, Oscar Mercado. Loving that. Loving that to lose the homer category. Only 3 moves this week. He dropped Jack Sawinski for Seiya Suzuki. He dropped Elias Diaz for Jose Siri over 3 with a strikeout, and then dropped Jose Siri for G1 Bay, who was on the bench, but went 1 for 3 with 2 runs, a double, an RBI, 2 walks, and a strikeout. His MVP this week is, in fact, the namesake. It's Ian Happ. I still have it on Sunday, so I will need to change that back to the matchup totals. But Ian Happ was quite good for Adam and has been all season. This particular week, 263 with the 300, 2 runs, a triple, a homer, 4 RBIs, a steal, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and an error. Good thing the Cubs locked this dude up long term, man, because this guy's pretty good. What do you think of Ian Happ in Chicago this the rest of this season and beyond?
You're like kind of one of those guys that I remember just coming out of nowhere for the Cubs and being a solid guy. The Cubs must start him. And then he just became a guy that you can't just drop necessarily. I think he had one bad year, whether it was last year or 2021. He had one disappointing year. He's just like, he's just like a run of the mill guy. But I respect the tenacity, the fact that he's kind of come back and still proven that he's a solid ball player and a starter, not only just a starter in Major League Baseball, but for us 16 teams, Ian Happ is a starter.
Yeah, it looks like he might end up going 15-15 this year. Not a great batting average, 14 homers, 59 RBIs, 11 steals as of this moment. So 15-15 is within sight, and that's a pretty good season no matter what you do. The least valuable hitter is going to be his teammate Dansby Swanson, 063 with a 211, a run, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The Cy Young is New Texas Ranger Max Scherzer, 7 innings, a win, a walk, 11 strikeouts, nothing earned in 029. That's without the game on Sunday that he did
The
not do
loss.
well
Yeah.
in. Yeah. The Cy Yuck is Yu Darvish, 12 innings, two losses, a homer, two walks, 13 strikeouts, a 6 and a 1.58 whip. For Matt Loosee on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is 4 for 14.
Man. Uh 286.
Thank you. I was wondering when it was going to click. 2 runs, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Only 2 ads this week, couple of relievers. He dropped Alex Young for Genesis Cabrero, gave him a clean one, and dropped Kevin Kelly for Austin Pruitt, who gave him a clean one. The MVP for Matt's team this week, we'll go Dylan Moore this week. 389 with a 500, 4 runs, 2 bombs, 4 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is no longer on the team. His name is Andrew Monasterio. What team?
Sounds like he's on some sort of Christian team. Monasterio? No?
It's
Okay.
the Milwaukee Brewers, but he has the spelling of Andrew, like Andrew Jones with the U. So I'm thinking like he's either from Curacao or what have you. Anyway, 045 with a 125 on base percentage, an RBI, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 2 errors. The Cy Young is Julio Urias, 7 innings, a win, a bomb, 5 strikeouts, a 129 and an 071. And the Cy Yuck, wow, Michael Kopech returned to earth. 4 innings, a loss, 3 bombs, 4 walks, only 1 strikeout, a 2025, and a 250. Benji, sometimes we have matchups like this that don't really have playoff implications, but I do want to check in on what we know about Adam Lowenstein for the future. This guy is in for the long haul, is he not?
Absolutely. Oh, that's 100%.
Good.
And he had a goal in mind for this season. He's like, I want to be top 10. Like, if not for nothing, I'll be top 10. And just that tells you that he's not throwing in the towel in week 21 when he plays Bobby, or
Great.
oh no, when he plays Jason, or when in week 22 when he plays Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's grinding out every single one of these matchups and trying to get as many stats as he can. And I know he's not that bummed out about it, but a lot of guys have reached out to me to say, hey, can you make sure that I have my guys in, because I'm not gonna be able to like, I'm not gonna have internet access or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I've been there so many times. Like, I've never not been there in the past. So like, the fact that I dropped the ball on Sunday because I was driving, I had my own things that I was dealing with. It
Yeah.
just slipped my mind, and I just didn't do it. But I hope that doesn't deter people from reaching out to me in the future when they need it, because like, I've been there, or I let Joe know. This time I didn't, but like, just learning experience. I'll know.
Yeah.
Let Joe know that if I miss something, like, Joe can take care of it as well. But this should have been a 12-6 and not an 11-7. And again, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference when all is said and done. But I guess we'll find out.
We will indeed. We will indeed. And I hope these guys, if for nothing else, are having fun with this season. I mean, I know it's been quite a long one for Matt Losi, but hopefully he's still having a good time playing his team and playing things out as best he possibly can. We're going to go ahead and move on here to the next matchup, and this one is going to be Kostas Paragios taking on Christian Wood. What'd you see here, Ben?
Well, it's funny because Christian at one point was potentially going to miss the minimum, and he jumped on the starters and he made sure that he could at least do that. And he pitched like crap, but for some reason, his hitting was really, really solid. And that was the difference here. The fact that Kostas couldn't hit, his way out of a, a wet paper bag, you
He
know?
really
Is that,
couldn't.
is that the same? Is that the
Yes.
same? I think it is.
Yes.
But it was such a time where he needed his offense to step up, and it just didn't come through here. And that could be him, like, his ship basically sinking at this point. This needed to be a better win. He couldn't get more than what, like a 13-7 against Matt Losi, something like that, maybe 13-6. I know it wasn't significant, but he had to do better than an 11-9 here. And I realized this is what his hitters did, and he doesn't even carry that big of a bench. So there's not much that he could have done about it. He's been such a good manager up till now, but his
Mm-hmm.
offense just flat out failed him.
Absolutely. When you hit 200 and 264 in your lineup with only a bomb, one home run in 7 days, 14 RBIs in 7 days, and 15 runs, you're not going to get much done. On his bench this week, he goes 0 for 12 with 4 strikeouts.
Oh my God.
So there's
How,
nothing he could have done short of like trade out all of his players for people off of the free agent list. Like you're not going to
right.
do that.
No one's doing that.
And this is just one of those bad weeks. The problem is it comes in week 19, and now you've only got 3 weeks to make it back up.
Right. Right. And if not for nothing, his if his hitting is a little bit more competent, then this is a much more significant win. And then down the line, the final 3 weeks, they aren't as dire. You know what I mean? Like you can lose one of those weeks now. Now he's in a must win.
Mm-hmm. His moves this week, and let's just go ahead and count the number of hits, shall we? He dropped Andres Machado for Jake Bird, a clean relief appearance. He dropped Jake McCarthy for Kyle Isbell, 1 for 4. He drops Kyle Isbell for Alejandro Kirk, who was on the bench. He dropped Alejandro Kirk for Jake McCarthy, who's in the minors. He dropped Jose Soriano for Freddie Fermin, 1 for 3, with an RBI. He dropped Mason Miller for Matt Vierling, and then 5 minutes later dropped Matt Vierling for DJ Stewart, 0 for 3. He dropped Freddie Fermin for Mickey Moniak, 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. He dropped DJ Stewart for Kevin Kiermaier, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. He dropped Kevin Kiermaier for DJ LeMahieu, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. He dropped Jake McCarthy for Matt Manning, 6 innings, a win, a homer, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 150, and a 1. And finished it out with DJ LeMahieu for Travis Jankowski, 0 for 4 with a strikeout. 2 hits off of free agency this week, and nothing after Thursday.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It seems like it would have required. I mean, how are you going to get 5 RBIs? Like, yeah, maybe the 2 doubles you can find a way to muster from ads,
I'm just more
but
pointing out that
but
like the team that he assembled did not hit, and the
no,
choices he made off of free agency did not hit. So
no,
it was just an all around atrocious week at the
yeah,
wrong time, and he
yeah,
still gets a win.
yeah, absolutely right.
His key players this week, we'll start with Fernando Tatis Jr., who's going to be the MVP. 320 with a 433, 4 runs, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, 3 steals, 5 walks, 9 strikeouts, and that's it. The least valuable hitter goes to Giancarlo Stanton, 067 with a 263, 4 walks, and 7 strikeouts, and that's all. The Cy Young goes to Mackenzie Gore, wherever he is. There he is, 6 1/3, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, nothing earned, in an 0.47. The Cy Yuck goes to Hunter Green with his 24 ERA, 5 bombs in a loss. Gross. For Christian on his bench this week, he is 7 for 25.
Oh. Uh, I'll say 308.
280, not quite that bad. 5 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. None of it plays. Not a single bit of that plays. His moves this week, he dropped Rich Hill for Reese Olson, which was a waste because he dropped Reese Olson for Reed Detmers. 7 1/3, a win, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and an 0.68 whip. He dropped Pat Sandoval for Dean Kramer, 6 innings, a loss, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 450, and a 117. He dropped Donovan Solano for Noah Syndergaard, 4 1/3, a loss, 2 bombs, two walks, 3 strikeouts, a 10.38 and 2.31, and finished off the week dropping Dean Kramer for Adam Wainwright, 6 innings, a loss, a bomb, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 450, and a 117. You talked about him almost missing the minimum. This is the reason he didn't, was these 4 moves. His MVP this week, Harold Ramirez, 524 with a 545 on base, 6 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 7 RBIs, and only 2 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is James Outman, a 143 and a 143 with a run and 3 strikeouts. Cy Young is Reed Detmers that we talked about, and the Cy Young is Noah Syndergaard that we talked about. Have you spoken with Christian lately? Is he still having a good time?
I haven't had a ton of communication, just, giving him the heads up on things like, if his pitchers are not playing, like, and then he's set up to not make the minimum. But other than that, no, not really.
Okay, good to know. As for Kostas, he's got these final 2 weeks. It's not over. It's not over, but he's going to have to put in a lot of work in order to make it to the promised land. And he's got a very large and imposing force standing in his way next week, known as the bounty hunter, Frank Bucco.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
going to
wait
be
for
a
that one.
classic. I mean, it should be amazing. I really do hope that Costas finds a way to get a win this week so that we are talking about like an amazing week 21 matchup between these two guys and whoever, if it's a lopsided win on one over the other, that one that loses is out. The one that
Yeah.
wins it isn't necessarily in, but we can be sure that that one with 1 week to go is done. But that's why I'm kind of hoping that Costas finds a way to right the train this week. And yeah, Frank is in good shape right now. I feel like he probably could at least make himself comfortable going into that matchup so that even if he loses, he gets Christian. No, sorry, he gets Sherman in week 22. You get Christian in week 22.
I do get Christian in week 22. Yes, that Costas Frank matchup is going to be probably one of the premier, if not the premier matchup of the Bigs next week. And again, it is not a win and you're in, but it is a lose and you're probably gone.
Yeah, yeah, more than likely.
Yeah. Let's move on to the final matchup here, Benjamin. We're going to talk about Mike Sherman defeating Bryan Lebo 13-4. What'd you see here?
Well, I just see another. I feel badly for Bryan at this point. He's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at whoever he's going against, and it just doesn't seem to matter. He continues to take these like very lopsided, very brutal losses week after week. And for how hard he's working, he doesn't deserve to be this low in the standings. I mean, he's an excellent manager. He's made some tough decisions as a general manager with some of the trades he's made have really let him down. A couple of his draft picks have really let him down. I think Trey Turner, number one, has really let him down, though coming back as a late, but in general, very, very tough. So I feel pretty badly at this point. It's not like he's playing against someone that isn't trying like Mike Sherman, but Mike Sherman has the least amount of moves of everybody this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a guy that in general, all you got to do is have your guys come to the come to the game and play a little bit. And if they don't bring anything to the table, you're going to lose, and you'll lose to someone like Mike Sherman, no question.
Yeah, only 10 RBIs from Bryan Lebo this week. 5 doubles was the least in the league. Just a really, really ugly week from him yet again. That being said, he is due to get a win. I just don't know that this team is capable of it. Like, I don't think that he has enough healthy, talented, good players on the team at this point because Trey Turner is so bad and the rest of his team is really underperformed. So we're hoping for one more win for Bryan this year to send it out on a high note, but I'm not entirely sure that's going to happen. As for this one, on Sunday, strikeouts by a batter were tied, and Lebo took fewer. Lebo led in wins. Mike tied that. Mike also got tied in losses when he took one. Mike led in home runs given up by a pitcher. Lebo ended up flipping that. Thank you, Mike. And Mike flipped the strikeouts by a pitcher, and relief appearances got tied. Lebo came back and tied that one up. Close categories this week. Mike wins by the 2 walks, an error, 2 walks by a pitcher, and 2 strikeouts by a pitcher. Lebo wins by 3 strikeouts by a batter, 2 innings pitched, 2 saves, and 1 home run given up by a pitcher. They tied in triples, wins, losses, and relief appearances. For Mike Sherman on his bench, Benjamin, it is a 9 for 33.
Uh, 264.
273. With 5 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, a walk, 3 strikeouts, and 3 errors. Nothing plays. However, there was a benched relief appearance from Ian Jabot on Friday the 18th. It was a clean 1 inning relief appearance, and that would have been the difference in the relief appearance category. So it is worth noting that that was gettable. Sherman made 3 moves, all on Sunday. Dropped Brad Hand for Jordan Lyles, 8 innings, a loss, 2 bombs, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 450 and an 075 in Wrigley. He dropped Chase Silseth for Carlos Carrasco, 4 innings, a loss, a homer, 3 strikeouts, a 675 and a 225 in Busch Stadium. And then dropped Sam Mole for Clark Schmidt, 5 2/3, a bomb, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, a 318 and a 106 at home against Boston. Again, only those 3 moves, only those 3 starters, did not get the innings, tied the wins and losses, and got the strikeouts. Those are the important things to worry about there. His MVP this week, we're going to talk about Bobby Witt Jr. 419 with a 438 on base percentage, 10 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 8 RBIs, 3 steals, a walk, 2 strikeouts, and an error. The 8 RBIs almost pace Lebo's entire team this week. The least valuable hitter is Cal Raleigh, 148 with a 179, 11 strikeouts, but 2 bombs and 4 RBIs. So got some good with some bad. The Cy Young this week, well, apparently Dallas Keuchel isn't complete shit. 6 1/3, a win, 3 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 0-1-6. What?
They can't figure out a slow throwing guy. It's late in the season. They've been revved up, at this point by August to try to catch up to stuff that's 90 plus and above, 95 and above. And the fact that it's been an unusually hot summer has made it even tougher. Then this guy is going to throw what, like 86 miles to 88 at you,
Junk balls.
and that's just
Junk balls,
yeah, and it just feels you're uncomfortable. You're not used to it, especially when you're playing day to day to day and getting used to all these relievers coming out of the pen. And then this guy, I can understand why it would be challenging over a whole season. Eventually, they'd probably figure it out with scouting reports and whatnot. But
sure,
yeah, not right now.
But hey, he got a good one there. You know who didn't have a good one was Chase Silseth, that 3 2/3, 2 bombs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 12-27, and a 2-1-8. For Lebo on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is a 10 for 36.
Should be fairly easy, shouldn't it? Uh, wow. 10 for 30, 33, 10 for 36. Is it 305?
It's 278. 5 runs, 2 doubles, a triple that would have won the category, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. He had as many RBIs on the bench as he did in the lineup this week. For his moves this week, he dropped Kyle Freeland for Rafael Ortega, 1 for 4 with a run and a steal. Dropped Luke Weaver for Steven Wilson, who was bad. Dropped Matt Vierling for Cade Marlowe, 0 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout. He is the Jared Kelnick replacement in the surging Seattle Mariners. And then dropped Jeff Hoffman. He dropped Steven Matz for Xavier Curry, 6 innings, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 150 and a 117 against Detroit. And added St. Louis Cardinals shortstop Mason Wynn, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. He dropped Curry for Matt Waldron, 5 innings, a loss, a bomb, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 9 and a 160 in Arizona. He dropped Waldron for Lucan Baker. What team? honestly don't even know.
Kansas City.
Okay. 1 for 4 with a strikeout. And then drop Steven Wilson for Luis F. Ortiz as opposed to Luis O. Ortiz. That's an inning, two whip, and a relief appearance. His key players this week, his most valuable hitter is, I guess, Ryan O'Hearn, 462 with a 533. 3 runs, a double, a triple, a homer, an RBI, a steal, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. He got one of everything, basically. The least valuable hitter is Luis Rengifo, 200 with a 273, a run, an RBI, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and 2 errors. The Cy Young is Xavier Curry that we talked about earlier, and the Cy Yuck is Kevin Gossman, 5 1/3, a loss, a bomb, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, an 844, and a 188. We do know that Bryan Lebo is having a fantastic time this season, despite hating his team, hating the results, and hating what the Cardinals have been doing. So he is still having fun. He's going to try to spoil somebody's season. What are his final 2 weeks here? Who is on the chopping block for him?
Well, I know Josh Haber is
Mm-hmm.
next week's matchup, I believe. And then after that, I believe the answer would be who am I playing now?
The final week, he gets Matt Loosee, so that's a meaningless week.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
one
it's
point.
next week or bust to try to ruin somebody's season. Otherwise, then you're just playing to have bragging rights over the last place guy.
Yeah. And Mike Sherman, I know he
Sherman is
finishes
actually
with
pushing 500 here all of a sudden.
yeah, I know. It's pretty amazing when you think about it because like I said, he's made the least amount of moves of every single manager. So like he's doing a lot with very little. He finished right now he's got the 10 a 10-7 lead on Kostas. Next week
Mhm.
is Ari, that's a meaningless matchup. And then finally it's Frank Bucco in week 22. So we're
Important.
still kind of we've seen a little bit of spoiling, but we haven't yet seen like that glaring one where like a top team is just like dump truck by a very low team or even doubled up,
Yeah,
something or something close to that where we'll really look at it and be like, wow, that was the one that, that's the one that we'll remember that knocked that guy out of the playoffs.
absolutely. And you know what? Sherman has done these type of things before. He has played spoiler before and has had an impact on the playoff, at least seeding, if not the playoff picture. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
really.
Yeah, and I mean the guy did also I mean what with what 2020 was like he was a playoff team that year.
Mhm.
He's the last champion in our league that's not you or myself, Joe. It was 2016 where Mike beat Ari,
Mhm.
and since then it's been you and myself, and then obviously the outlier last year. But it's something to be acknowledged. The fact that he is in this league, he's going to be in this league next year. Like he still wants a piece. He knows that there's issues that he's dealt with season to season as far as how he's drafted, how he's played day to day. But like he's always going to be there, and he's always going to be a threat, no matter what.
Mike, we're happy to have you, and we're happy to have you back for another season. Can't wait until we see the success continue. And you know what? Push for a 500 record. If we can get 12 teams over 500 by the end of the year, that's going to be insane. Absolutely insane. For the records this week, 2 managers tied with 5 doubles this week. Kostas only had 1 homer, and that tied the season long record. And Josh set the record for fewest strikeouts by a pitcher over a 7-day matchup with only 34. A terrible, terrible week for him. Terrible. Benji, it's that time of week once again. It's time for managers of the week. And who is going to be your number 3, sir?
Wow. Obviously a lot of good candidates here, but shoot, I gotta say that Frank has to be one of them. Like that was a pretty important thing that he did. Like that was probably going to be the that could have been the end of his season if that's a brutal loss, right? And we talked
Oh,
about him
yeah.
getting through like Mike Haber, Jason, Bobby, those three in a row. Like, yeah, he took the big loss to Mike, but he righted the ship really, really quickly. And to get a win like this and this kind of time, like that was clutch. There's no other way to say it. It was an absolutely clutch performance by him, and against a great manager like Bobby, so he deserves it.
Absolutely. And he actually ends up being the three for both myself and Jason here this week. It is an incredible win, keeping him right there in the hunt, stamped in the sixth spot, holding on by the skin of his teeth with everything he's got, and he is not going to let go. You're going to have to pry that playoff spot from his cold, dead fingers because he is absolutely all in on this. Who's number two for you this week, sir?
Yeah, it's actually Jason Ashby, one of our co-hosts, who was able to stop this monster that is Henry Collins, who's just been on such a great run lately. Had just beaten Mike Haber, and then Jason needs to go up against him with all that momentum. And yeah, it was bigger at one point. It was something like a 15-4, a 16-4. Dare I even say at some point it was 17-4 in favor of Jason, but he had this, and like he took, and I don't want to say like he had it the whole week, because it really did come down to like that second part of the week, because
Mm-hmm.
Henry was still hitting, he was still doing pretty well. It was going to require a really great weekend for him to just hold that win, and he did it. And yeah, I give him a ton of credit, because when Henry's playing that high at that point, and Henry has rattled off one, two, three, four in the last six,
Mm-hmm.
and five in the and five in the last eight, and one was a tie.
Okay.
So he's
That's
been
still a
pretty
really
pretty
hot
insane.
team making a
Yeah,
push for a
extremely.
playoffs. And
Yeah.
listen, Jason's my number two as well for the exact same reason. The win there keeps his hopes alive despite being basically the last team in this hunt.
Mhm.
And it might be curtains this week, depending on how things shake out between him and I. But this was one week where he extended his season one more time to keep playing for one more opportunity to make the playoffs. Jason actually has Josh at number two because of a defeat of the number one team. We've certainly chronicled exactly how much you left on the bench and how much you left to the wind, shall we say, that could have gotten into your lineup. I have Josh at number one as well, simply because of the win over your number one team. But looking back on it, it doesn't feel like he won in so much as you lost. And I completely understand why you gave me that look just now. So, having now looked at the numbers, it's a big difference. Who is number one for you, my friend?
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Josh, because he's still a great manager, but I just have a hard time putting him on this list, because I experienced that. Like
Mhm.
I actually felt like, wow, no matter, like if you handed my phone or the computer over to a child of 8 years old or even younger, they could have pointed to the person that could have should have been played, and they would have gotten it right more often than me. Like I really feel like that's the case. Like
Mhm.
I thought I thought it was in Rookie of the Year, where they get on that boat and those kids are all there. Like all those girls that they get on the boat are there exactly when they are there out on the boat. I thought that was incredible. But this, like what I experienced, was nothing short of unbelievable. I actually couldn't believe that that happened.
It was that bad day after day after day. It was like Groundhog Day. I wake up and it's the same thing. My entire bench hits.
Yeah,
Just bad.
yeah. Except it was just different casts of characters most of the time, because I flip flopped, and
Mhm.
no matter what it was wrong. I appreciate you that you listened to that analogy I just used with Rookie of the Year. Anyway,
I haven't ever seen that
mine.
movie. Number one for
Oh man,
Jason. Number one for
yeah.
Jason is going to be me. I'm just going to skip over this and go, okay, thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate it. I beat Mike Haver. Ben, who's number one for you?
It's you, and it's not even freaking close, to be honest with you. This was fantasy chess at its best with these two managers. And yeah, you could say Mike wasn't entirely like active as far as what you expect when he's going to be in the playoffs. Like he's going to use all 12 ads, sure. But the fact that you guys were throwing haymakers on the offensive side, the pitching side. I mean, we went over the numbers in the
Mhm.
prior show, but everything's sub 3 in the pitching. Everyone's hitting over 300. Like it's just incredible. I've never seen anything like that, and it would be those two guys. Like it would be Joe and Mike. It was just perfect. It was a very, very memorable matchup, one I will remember for a very, very, very long time. Even though it wasn't a playoff matchup, it's one of those late regular season matchups I will always remember. Great job, Joe.
Yeah, if Mike wanted to squash the bug, this was another opportunity to do so, despite the fact that I'm right in the hunt. If this is the other way around, we might be talking about my season being over, given that I have, you know, Bobby next week and Jason this week. So it's gonna be real interesting to see how this thing finishes up. I thank you for giving me the number one spot, my friend. And listen, it ain't over yet. We're still going. Got 2 more weeks to go. Dare I ask you who's in and who's out?
Well, I can give a what is my gut instinct, but I'm
Yeah,
not going to dare say like this guy is in, this guy is in because you just don't.
right.
But if
Right
I
now, today, on August the 25th, who are the six? You can change your mind
okay,
next week.
fine. You, myself, Mike Haber, like us three, those regular cast of characters that always find their way in, we're going to do it again. The three of us are in. I'm going to go with Josh Haber based on schedule. I'm going to go with Henry Collins also based on schedule, the fact that he has Christian the following week. So that just kind of leads it to a couple of other guys.
Bobby
McCloskey playing
Russo,
Josh. Yeah,
Frank,
Bobby Russo, Frank, Kostas. Kostas got a really tough schedule, and I think the fact that McCloskey, although he gets Matt Loosey next week, he's got Josh this week. I'm gonna push him out as well. So I'm really between Frank and Bobby. Now, Bobby's schedule is tougher, but if I'm looking at the standings right now and that Bobby has himself like a decent lead, I'm sorry, Frank. If I have like a guess, I'd say that Frank just misses. But I could be dead wrong. You know, he
yeah,
might kill Sherman. Sherman does. You know, he if Sherman has a bad week and he's not really like, if he's still being an inactive manager is what you would expect. That's what he does. And then on Sunday he makes all of his moves. Basically, that might
right.
not be enough, and Frank might just have a big lopsided win. And that's what it's going to come down to. So I'd say the five that I'm very sure about you, me, Henry, and Josh and Mike. And then between Bobby and Frank, I just don't know
So
where
the
I'm going.
three WNW members, Henry, myself, and Ben, and the Haber brothers, Ben sees as safe. And the final spot between Bobby and Frank, with him leaning to the Mr. Monday Munchie side of that matchup.
How about you, dare I ask?
Okay, so you're safe. Mike's safe. I feel like Henry's safe too. Um, and then for me, it gets crazy because I could see Josh fall out. I could see Bobby fall out. I could see Frank or myself fall out. The next name that I think is in is Bobby Russo. I feel like that's
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
More
It
than
just
Josh, but you
yeah.
just said that it's going to be hard for Bryan to even get a win, and he gets Bryan next week.
I know, I know, and yet at the same time, like I feel like Bobby's been on a mission this entire season, and Josh. Not to say that Josh hasn't been, but man, Bobby has had some really close calls over the last couple of years, and it just seems like this is the season that he's finally putting it all together and gonna push through and make this playoff again for the first time since what was it, 2019?
2019 was just, yeah, he's been in the league since 2018. He got his first ticket in 2019.
Mm-hmm. So
And
that's the
so
fourth guy I've got in. I will count myself in now because 10 or 12 weeks ago, I would like to apologize to everybody for counting myself out. Um, but I have traded my way right back into this thing, and all of a sudden I'm a half game out with 3 to play. So I think I'm in based on schedule. Granted,
That's
something
fine.
wild could happen with me and Bobby where we play to the minimum and 3 guys blow each other out and we end up being the guys out. That's completely realistic. But I think I'm in. I think Bobby's in. I think the top 3 are in. So that's my 5. And that leaves me with Josh and Frank and Kostas. And
James.
I think experience is going to win out in that scenario. And the most experienced guy in that group is Josh Haber. So I'll give that. I'll give it to Josh. I have said all season that if Frank wants to be a playoff team, he needs to close.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think trading away Spencer Strider is how you close. Sorry. It's just not. And I'm saying this as the guy who received him, who did not go after him, who simply had the dude thrown in my lap. How do you do that? You've never made the playoffs here. You've got the potentially the NL Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah, it was a risk. I at the time I understood the risk on both sides. I said again, and I said it to him, when he was here, that,
Mm-hmm.
dropping Schwarber out of all the drops that it could have been, I think that guy could have stayed on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of just do what you've been doing with him this whole season. When you feel like he's going to hit, you start him. When you don't, when you think he's going to be the 0 for 4 3 strikeout game, that's when you sit him. And yeah, like making those decisions could bite you, but isn't that better than now, like someone else having that guy
And
playing
having that
against
decision to
you,
make. Yeah.
right? And getting to play against you theoretically, because even if he's not playing against you head to head, you guys are chasing the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't you that got Schwarber, it would be somebody else chasing that goal or someone else that was going to be playing against him.
Yeah.
So I
Jason
think
and Josh
that's,
were the other two that put in waiver claims on that guy. So
yeah,
he was
yeah, both
going
guys
somewhere
chasing,
in the playoff
right.
hunt.
Oh yeah, no question, of course. And if not, let's say it does go to somebody random. That guy might have him on the schedule. Maybe it goes to Christian,
Yeah.
So or maybe it goes to Mike Sherman. Those are two guys that are on his
Mike
schedule. So
Sherman
like,
has the top waiver claim. It would have been his if he wanted him. So
right. So right. I guess my point is that he 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 insisted that not having to make a decision is a better situation than someone else holding on to that player. And I hope that's
yeah.
something that he learns. So it seems like you and I have the same 6 going in.
Yeah. At least, but perhaps in a different order, and we have them in different power rankings. But I feel like we're fairly close on this. Now that
Yeah.
being said, somebody, James McCloskey, go out and crush somebody and make this thing interesting, right? Like somebody's going to crash the party in the final couple of weeks here and make this really interesting. I can't wait to see who it is. Benji, thank you so much for being here with me tonight, my friend.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the admission, the candor with your apology, of assuming that you're out week after week and realizing that when you're Joe Schubert and you know the game as well as you do, and there's time, there's always a chance in fantasy baseball, especially in the bigs. And I also really appreciate the opportunity to vent today because there was a lot of it today. And I guess when it's me, we have the opportunity to really delve into every day in the situation and see how much it broke me. So thank you for the therapy, if you will, of getting an opportunity to discuss it and lay it all on the table because I really needed it. And I felt like, okay, no need to stall anymore. We'll do a show on Friday, but I really didn't want to effing talk about it on Tuesday or Monday. So giving that time, it helped. And I still am pretty angry as I discuss it, even though I'm trying to keep it pretty even keel. But thanks again. Thank you so much for letting me discuss it with you, man.
Anytime, my friend. We are happy to have this platform. We are happy to have this league, and it is all a testament to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and being a part of this league. We've got 2 weeks and 3 days left of the regular season, guys. It has been a wild ride. It feels like only yesterday we were drafting and talking a whole bunch of shit, and now we're coming down to the nitty gritty, and we're still talking a whole bunch of shit because that's what we do. Until next time, guys. Thank you so much. It's been real. It's been fun. and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.